I used to think that autonomous vehicles were going to be road ready rather quickly, and I thought that would be pretty cool because it'd be nice to just take your hands off the wheel and take a nap on a long road trip. Boy, was I wrong. Because in a world where technological advancements shape our future, seemingly on a daily basis, the promise of autonomous vehicle holds a lot of allure for safer roads and efficient transportation, but that doesn't seem to be the reality. In fact, recent events are shedding light on a darker reality. The hasty deployment of self-driving vehicles really aren't ready for prime time, at least not to the extent that we've been led to believe. You see, General Motors Cruise autonomous vehicle units have had to, make a recent agreement to cut its fleet in half in the wake of 2 crashes in San Francisco. Again, reminding us that the road to autonomous transportation is far from smooth. We have a lot to this story, and I want to get it all, including some other revelations that were made that were kind of hidden up until now. So, let's get started. Here we go. Now, the California Department of Motor Vehicles, their DMV over there, requested this fleet reduction after a Cruise self-driving vehicle collided with an unspecified emergency vehicle. Of course, that raised a lot of concerns about the technology's ability to navigate through complex and unpredictable scenarios, like, I guess, when, a emergency vehicle's running a light or something similar. I'm sure there have been a lot of other close calls, but this one really woke everybody up. And the DMV made a statement that underscores a troubling reality that we should all be paying attention to. That despite any of the promises that we've heard about these autonomous vehicles, they're just not immune to the complexities of the real world. In fact, they might oftentimes perform far worse than a human counterpart, which, that kind of, gives everybody pause, I would think. Now, this incident comes on the heels of a decision by California regulators to grant Cruise and the spin-off Waymo the ability to operate autonomous robo-taxis throughout San Francisco at all hours. And you know what? I don't blame them for having that available, because who wants to be a taxi driver anywhere near San Francisco right now? You're definitely taking your life into your own hands, especially late at night. Now, this decision, of course, was made despite recurrent issues with the unexpected stops and erratic behaviors of these cars. And it also signaled that there's a hasty push to normalize autonomous vehicles. I wonder why. It turns out that San Francisco was the big testing ground for this technology, and with the 2 competing fleets of driverless vehicles vying for passengers, which would be, again, Waymo and Cruise, one cannot help but wonder, are we not putting the cart before the horse? I would say that we are. The recent crashes obviously highlight the dangers of deploying autonomous vehicles without thoroughly addressing the multitude of challenges that those vehicles face. Now, the collision involving the Cruise vehicle and an emergency response vehicle obviously underscores the lack of preparedness that these electronic mechanisms possess. I would say that those scenarios are going to be more difficult to deal with for a robot vehicle than they will be for a human, because you've been accustomed to it, you've been prepared for it, you've been trained on it, and I'm just not sure that these autonomous vehicles have the ability to adapt that quickly, or have any degree of learning that would allow it to experience a scenario and be taught from it. See, visibility issues are part of the problem when it comes to these responses. Occluded intersections, rapid decision making, all of those things are the hurdles that these autonomous systems just don't seem to be able to overcome, or at least not regularly anyway. And the truth is, autonomous vehicles are not infallible because, they fail a lot. We've had many examples of that happening very, very recently. They're not immune to the limitations of the human engineering that's involved, because we can't think of everything, nor are they exempt from the uncertainties of the things that happen on the road. I mean, imagine a vehicle wheel falling off a car in front of you. Are you prepared to react to that yourself, let alone an autonomous vehicle? So the fact that this collision happened with an emergency vehicle, that should wake everybody up. You see, self-driving technology struggles to interact seamlessly with not just the emergency vehicles, but even people in crosswalks right now. Now, what does that mean for everyday traffic? Well, it means it's going to be a lot more hazardous the more of these vehicles that are on the road. The question about whether we can trust these things to make some split-second decisions, well, I would say so far, we can't. The Cruise incident also highlights the disconnect between the autonomous vehicle technology and all those real-world driving conditions, but it also has a disconnect between what we've come to expect from technology. When it comes to this is far from perfected. It's not even close. The vehicle's ability to avoid the collision, despite identifying the risks and applying the brakes, raises even more questions, because supposedly the vehicle identified the issue and didn't react, or react harshly enough, or with great enough haste. Are autonomous vehicles truly equipped to navigate the day-to-day? My guess is probably no. You have an entire range of driving skill surrounding you at any moment in time, anytime you're in any kind of traffic. So you combine that with obviously the obstacles and things that can just occur, like a refrigerator dropping from the pickup truck in front of you, the wheel that I mentioned before, and many other things that have happened to me personally in my, course of driving over the many years. These vehicles are certainly not prepared for those types of issues, no matter how much, people say they are. And the biggest problem here that I see is a rush to market that seems to be prioritizing innovation over safety. Again, you're talking about a vehicle, which is the ability to maim and kill very easily, especially when it's, driven recklessly or without the proper level of experience. That's why we have, testing facilities for people to go to just to get their driver's license in the first place. It's important to recognize that these incidents aren't isolated. I've, made nod towards a few of them. Autonomous vehicles have faced challenges for a long time. You have different kinds of accidents, as I mentioned before, with pedestrians. You also have a problem with a lot of them navigating adverse weather conditions, heavy rain and snow. And while the technology advocates are arguing that these incidents are part of a learning curve, we must ask ourselves at what cost is this learning? Because, there's a human factor here. Lives are at stake. And the public trust, it can't afford to take a whole lot more kicks because it's being challenged at every turn. The DMV's decision here, though, to enforce the fleet reduction until investigations are complete, basically removes a few of these problematic systems from the roadway, but not all of them. It sends a clear message that the safety cannot be compromised in pursuit of technological advancement to a certain extent. Just a little bit of danger can be there, I guess. But their willingness to suspend or revoke permits is, it's a positive sign in the right direction. I would have grounded the entire fleet, but that's me. Autonomous vehicles do have the potential to revolutionize transportation, whether it be in the form of taxis or, let's say airborne taxis, because that's actually happening around the globe right now. But we have to approach all of that with caution and skepticism. We've got plenty of incidents where people have decided to have their self-driving car take over, climb into the back seat, and go to sleep. Of course, they were also impaired, but there's other problems here in the decision-making tree that we certainly have to address. The hasty development and deployment of inadequately tested technology on our roads jeopardizes lives. That can't be argued with. It also undermines our faith in any kind of innovation, as I mentioned before, and I think that's key to this issue. For now, at least the risk is greatly reduced. In a world where our lives are increasingly intertwined with technology, we must demand nothing less than excellence from autonomous vehicles of any kind: car, flying taxi, whatever. The question we face is quite clear. Are these vehicles truly ready for prime time on our roads? I would say no, because until we have irrefutable evidence that they are, the wisdom of embracing these transportation options remains a matter of serious consideration. I imagine now many of us will think twice. With that, what do you think? Please tell me what you think about autonomous vehicles of any sort. Do you find them worthy of your trust? Are you dead certain that when you're driving down the road and the person next to you is not quite paying attention in their Tesla, that you're going to be safe? And even with some of the systems that seem to work regularly, are they something that you would actually rely on? Those are all good questions. And again, I have a car that'll do that as well. It'll navigate me out of trouble if need be. But can I always count on it to do so? I don't know. Anyway, let me know your answers down in the comment section below. Hopefully we can have a conversation about this. And while this is not the normal kind of video I do here on my channel, I do occasionally like to ask these somewhat serious questions, since we are being challenged by technology every day, including, with AI and deepfakes, but we'll do that another time. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, See ya!